Good morning. Often it is because we forget the little details or to scrutinize the facts behind an agreement or the circumstances behind an engagement that we end up into a lot of trouble. There are misunderstandings. This wouldn't happen if you were to think like a lawyer and to question like a lawyer. How to do this? More when we return. Welcome back. It's only 10 years ago when I graduated the College of Law and I became a practicing lawyer. However, it was 20 years ago that I was fascinated with the way that lawyers and businessmen conducted themselves, particularly the way that they communicated with such precision that facts, circumstances will not be left out of a negotiation or an interaction. And because 20 years ago I graduated from the College of Architecture at UP Diliman, I was not skilled in this manner of communications. I did learn, however, that the psychology of neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP, imparted such skills to those who adhered to its precepts. So, I studied NLP back then. I was able to attain a master practitioner level in NLP. And that's when I learned how to communicate like a lawyer, even before I became a lawyer recently. The thrust of NLP is to model excellence, the physiology of excellence. It imparts in us a manner of communications which is clear, which is concise, and which is devoid of any duplicity. Now, when we talk about NLP, it covers everything from body language to the words that we choose and to the mindsets that we adopt. For our purposes, we are going to focus today on the precision method of questioning other individuals and questioning ourselves, so that when we enter into agreements or negotiations with others, no stone is left unturned and we understand precisely what we are talking about. This leads to fewer misappreciations and misapprehensions of what is being discussed. This leads us to the meat of our discussion today. How do we think and question like a lawyer? By NLP standards, it all boils down to specificity. The more specific we are, the more precise our questioning and our thought patterns, the less misappreciation and misunderstandings we will have. So, think specific. And there are several phrases that we can use in order to be specific when we are engaging with other individuals. The following will be a cheat sheet of queries that you can use the next time you engage or you even think in your private moments. First, always ask, what is your basis? When somebody makes an assertion, for instance, that is illegal, or this will never fly, the plan does not work, always ask, what is your basis? Often when individuals are confronted with that query, or when you throw that query at yourself, you would think deeper and you would realize that your objection has no ground whatsoever. When somebody tells you, okay, this plan doesn't look so good, it is not precise, I feel that it will not pass the executive board, ask them, what is your basis? Is it because of the financials, the operational facility, the logistics behind it? Tell me your basis, let's talk about it. When individuals start collaborating on the basis of an assumption, it will shed light on other matters. Sometimes it might be emotional, not really logical. So that is the first thing that you would have to remember when you... A second query that you can keep handy is, according to whom and by what standards? Sometimes people would throw out generalities like, that is forbidden, we cannot do this, it's never been allowed. Really now? Throw out the question, according to whom and by what standards? What is the authoritative body that says that this is not possible? When you think this way, you open up a whole new world of possibilities. And allied with this query of according to whom and by what standards is, what if we didn't? If somebody tells you that this is outside of the parameters of what is normally accepted in the corporation, Ask them, what if we didn't? What if we did it this way? This would allow you to spin your wheels and to challenge the norms and explore for new ideas. The third line of questioning challenges absolutes. We all love absolutes. We tell people, this is the best, this is unbeatable, no one is better than this is the ultimate choice. When you're confronted with that kind of objection or that assertion, you just tell them, compared to what? Compared to whom? And often individuals will realize that, okay, when I am creating an absolute statement, there has to be a comparative. But have I really looked out there and made that comparison with all the other alternatives or choices? So remember this. Think like a lawyer. Request for comparatives. Compared to what? Compared to what object? And by what amount? The fourth query, and the final that I'll cover in this video, is perhaps my favorite. It is a default that applies for most situations where the previous questions will not be that efficient. And this is, how specifically? When an assessment or an assumption is thrown your way and you want to counter it, or at least to dig deeper to find out if it has basis whatsoever, you ask, how specifically? For instance, somebody tells you, the project that you are bringing forward to me is too costly. You ask them, how specifically? Is it $100 too costly? Are there competitors who are charging slightly less by $100? Is it because of the timelines? How specifically is it costly? With this line of thinking, and this is something that you can use in yourself as well if you find yourself blocked by certain limits that are set psychologically, you uncover what might not really be a very strong basis or a valid basis to hinder moving forward. A final example, let's take an annulment case. Say the wife goes to the husband and says, you don't care about me, your focus is always on work, let's get an annulment. So you as the husband would say, how specifically don't I care about you? Is it because I devote a lot of time to providing for the kids? Is it because I am driving back and forth to support your original family? How specifically is my lack of care something that you see right now? How specifically? This brings out limitations. This brings out lack of clarity. It is a line of questioning that works not just on other individuals when you are engaging with them, but also in yourself. It lets you see your own limits. Keep these 4 questions in mind the next time that you have an argument when you're discussing with friends, lovers, or with yourself. This is Joseph Plazo. Thank you for listening. Again, let us not litigate, but rather mediate.